A very good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode here on the Life Signatures Radio. This is a daily show that is focused on the subjects of purpose, productivity, and resilience. If you're looking for something to inspire you, to motivate you, maybe to teach you one or two things concerning those three topics and any other topic in related, this is the show. We are right now in the middle of a series which we started quite a while back, 10 episodes back, and we are talking about personal blockades. And today we're going to start taking a different tangent as far as that is concerned. We've come quite a long way, where we spoke at length about the different sources of blockades, and we saw something to do with culture, knowledge, vision, reality, and ambition. But today I want us to take a look at the different types of blockades that we can be able to face. It is going to be a long mini-series within the series itself, but we're going to talk about the types of blockades. So starting today, stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Well, so let us start talking about the different types of blockades that we can be able to have. But before we can go in there, what is this blockade? If you are joining this episode for the very first time, if you have not followed the series, let me just give you a hint of what a blockade is. This is something that is mentally accepted as if it is a fact, and it hinders us from being the fullness, to getting to the fullness of our glory or the fullness of our potential. That's what a blockade is. In other words, you could have possibilities, but you can't get to those possibilities because you have accepted some things as if they are facts, and those things are blocking you, they are hindering you from moving on or from acquiring the kind of life that you ought to be, at least in the eyes of the Creator, or in the eyes of your Creator, the eyes of your Maker. That is what a blockade is. It is either conscious or it is unconscious, and for the most part it is unconscious, because you don't know what is going on. You don't even know that you are standing on your own way of success. It is like it's an insidious thing, it's just happening to you, but you don't know. You're the biggest proponent of the blockade, but you don't know. Like people who say we can't be rich, it is a blockade, some kind of blockade going on. They have grown up in a particular district, they never moved out of that district when it comes to school, got married in that particular district, got buried in that particular district. Chances are that for some reason it's just occurred to them, or maybe just came to them, that they cannot get out of that particular place. And therefore, that is just an example of a blockade. But let us start looking at the different types of blockade. But I'm going to start with the big one, and we're going to camp here for a while. The first kind of blockade that we do have is a mental blockade. Joyce Meyer has a book called The Battlefield of the Mind. Jesus Christ said that if you think it, you've already done it. I'm just paraphrasing it. The Bible tells us, as a man thinks, so he is. The battlefield of the mind is a big frontier. We lose in the mind, we win in the mind. And once the mind has gone, every place where the mind goes, the rest of the body follows. That's why we're normally told to visualize things. We're normally told to dream. Dreaming, visions are all functions of the mind. Therefore, the very first place where we can experience a blockade is the mental place, the mental sphere, the mental blockade. There is no succeeding without the participation of mental faculties. And also, there is no failure without participating or assenting to the failure by the mental faculties. Of all the blockades that people experience in life, perhaps this is the biggest, the most common, the most insidious of them all. And a mental blockade has power enough to instruct the body to shut down, and it does without questioning. Someone famously said that if you think you can, and if you think you can't, either way, you are absolutely right. And this is stuff that is made up of a mental blockade. And I agree with these guys. So we have other faculties that we can use in conjunction with our mind. Other faculties are connected. They derive their motto, they derive their instructions, let me use that word, from the mind. The mind is the engine of it all. It is the full engine. The thing with success is that you will not attain it without the participation of the mind. You cannot sleep. I think it's Zig Ziglar who said, people do not wander around and they find themselves on top of Mount Everest. The mind has got to go there. And when the mind goes there, you prepare. You practice, you become fit, you prepare, you put things in order, you intend, and you do it. You can't wander around, you can't autopilot yourself into success. I cannot autopilot myself into success. The mind has got to participate. And the same thing is that where there is a mental blockade, I'm finding myself sometimes autopiloting. The thing with success is that you cannot attain it without participation of the mind. And the mind, though a mountain, is a big thing that has got to be conquered. It is a mountain that has got to be conquered. And yet the mind is a friend or a big tool or one of the biggest arsenals that we can be able to use in our lives. In your mind, there are several things that shape its operation. First, the mind will protect you from any danger and it will advise you to strongly shun things that are outside of the norm, things that you've not experienced, even if fun things are in the mix, even if it is fun and it is adventurous, as long as it is new. It's never been experienced before. The mind comes in its automatic way to shut you down and say, no, this one, no. And fear is normally in the mind. The mind paints for you, or it paints for us, the worst possible outcome of venturing in an area unknown to us, so that we will not make a decision and we will just stay put in the familiar, in the known, in the experienced. It is what the mind does. It likes the proven, the tried, and the tested. So you eat the same types of food all along. You run the same route all along without changing. You like a routine. Remember we talked about culture. You have a fever. You have this insatiable, urge to stay put in all that you've always known. And therefore you have fewer adventures all year long, unless adventures are a common thing to you. You do the same kind of work this year like you did last year, and you're not planning to change, but you're hoping that things will change. That is how the mind operates. So there is the idea that the mind can be a powerful force, but hidden in there, it can also be a negative, powerful force that props up a blockade in your life or in my life. Perhaps one person that espouses a great control of his mental faculties is the author of The Last Arrow. This man is called Evan Raphael McManus. I loved that book, The Last Arrow. And I read about how he was asked to attend a soccer World Cup in Brazil only 5 days before it started. He did not have a visa to get there. He did not have a plane ticket. He did not have any accommodation to get there. He had other things that he was doing at that time that he was being invited. In other words, he wasn't a freeloader just sitting there waiting for things to be done. He was a busy person. However, sensing the need for adventure, he dropped everything that he was doing and processed his requirements against so much odds. And he made it to Brazil. All the things that were against him were real. But the greatest power that made him through was the obliteration of his mental blockers. He went against them. And that's the same thing that we've got to do. We're going to continue talking about this in the episode tomorrow. But let me just say this. Naturally, as humans, every time we have reasons enough not to do something, we end up not doing it anyway. Purely because of a mental blockade. We don't kiss our wives in public. We don't play with our kids. We don't have a week off or relax and be with our family. We don't seek adventure. We don't put out. We don't go out for comfort. We don't go out for adventure, and we remain in our comfort zones. Why? Because we have a mental blockade. For the most part, we do not do these things because we are under a heavy mental blockade. It is one area where we can have blockades that will hinder us and stop us. And the nature of a mental blockade is very interesting. And let me tell you something. For the most part, what your mind projects to be the worst case scenario seldom ever is. It never. However, we have this inclination to believe our minds because we want safety and we want comfort. But I'm going to go deeper in talking about this in the episode tomorrow, because it is easy for us just to say that and stop there. But I want us to go deeper into the mental faculties, especially as we're talking about the blockade that is in the mind. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.